Let's go!
I'm gonna go through the process and try to come to some conclusions as far as what, why, how, and what. I guess we'll just jump right into it. I kind of woke up today to some pretty crazy news about Capcom Cup. Yeah, a lot of people don't understand what's happening. What the hell is Capcom doing? Some pretty big announcements for Capcom Cup next year. It's coming in like March or something like that. I mean, let me get the exact details, but do you know, chat, the Capcom Cup that we've been rebroadcasting, restreaming, I've been going to almost 11 years now. Turns out there's a really good chance that we're not getting that anymore. To summarize what the hell's going down, I will use Event Hubs. Shout out to Event Hubs for the article compilation. Capcom's Big All Pro Tour, their big multi-million-dollar pro tour, has announced that Capcom Cup 12 finals will be switching to a pay-per-view format, similar to the Street Fighter League. Price of admission is 4,000 yen at the time. That's about 25 to 30 bucks. That is the same Capcom Cup that I rebroadcast, let's just say back in 2020, I think it was 2022. On Twitch alone, this is before I was doing YouTube streaming. That Capcom Cup, we had 67,000 viewers of people that were anticipating the future of Street Fighter, and also kind of celebrating the end of Street Fighter V. Pretty big thing. Subsequently, all of the other Capcom Cups that we sort of streamed and rebroadcast all have pretty big viewership. Obviously, it's like the end of the year. We're anticipating announcements. We're anticipating a variety of things. People would want to get together. People want to like join, get in the conversation. They haven't been keeping up with Street Fighter 6. They want to see what Street Fighter 6 is like now, like all that kind of stuff. That's what these events are sort of for. Same thing going back to Street Fighter 5 as well as Street Fighter 4. So this year, the decision is that that doesn't really exist anymore. So from my perspective, this actually is a big disruptor to my entire yearly tournament streaming sort of like schedule, event planning, all that kind of stuff. Because yes, up there with Evo and a few other events that are throughout the year, I don't stream a billion tournaments, but I kind of focus on the big ones that get everybody together in one spot and we sort of celebrate and, you know, have a bunch of people watching at the same time. I just don't think that's possible now. I don't know if rebroadcasting will be a thing. It likely won't, because what happens currently at the Street Fighter League, that is not generally allowed. There's always been like weird things where you can only stream like the timer. Like, what is this, dude? The timer? And you can listen to the pay-per-view like it was a baseball radio show. Some really crazy stipulations. So let's just boil it down. Why is this happening? Who's it affecting? What the hell's going forward? Number one, why? Why is specifically a Street Fighter Esports situation? Street Fighter Esports, especially in Japan, have already developed a model of like pay-per-view where it's working, and it's been that way for a while now. I don't think it's been that way for too long, but it's been that way for a while now, where Street Fighter 6 Esports in Japan, which is pretty much a completely different beast, is doing quite well. However, considering the history of most tournaments, they are not pay-per-view. There's definitely going to be some examples of the situation going obviously in an 895 direction back with Canada Cup back in the day. But you have to start asking questions. Yeah, sponsors and money. Here's the weird part about this. This is like a Capcom Esports division, which is a completely different division than Capcom themselves. A reminder, this company's big. This is nothing to do with the Street Fighter development team. Absolutely nothing to do with them. Although they're probably going to be getting an earful of all this stuff after this weekend is over. And I'm curious if anything is going to change moving forward. But you have to start asking yourself questions where it's like, all right, so these guys will get on average, like with restreams, rebroadcasts, their own viewership, Twitch, YouTube, all that kind of stuff. These guys will get a few 100,000 people, well, at least 100,000 to 200,000 people watching one of these events, which is pretty big for the sake of sponsors, which has mostly been the thing in the past that has sort of like carried it. So sponsors and that kind of stuff is sort of what paid for this stuff. Most of the stuff, like the revenue that comes from Street Fighter, that's usually a lot different. What really sucks about this is that so they're effectively just ditching the traditional model. We're just gonna charge everybody, and I'm assuming that there's gonna be like no ads. I'm assuming Roto Z-Man wasn't enough. I'm assuming that that kind of stuff just wasn't paying the bills. But the craziest part is that they're effectively dropping like the rest of the world. To me, this honestly makes perfect sense for Japan. I'm gonna give you a couple of examples of this before, but Street Fighter is a completely different beast in Japan. What's happening in Japan right now for Street Fighter, and what has been happening over the past couple of years of the game's existence, is nothing like the rest of the world. In fact, you would think that the game is doing relatively fine, and it is, but this shit is popping off in Japan. And again, the bigger something gets, the more control people want over it. Let me give you a couple of examples. I saw Brian F talking about this, and I also noticed this when I was looking at a YouTube channel. It was Kawano. Kawano had recent footage of Sea Viper from Tokyo Game Show, so it was like, cool. To give a shout out to Kawano's YouTube channel, it's right here, Kawano. You might not be able to find it because it wouldn't show up under natural search means. You'd have to like literally search his name directly. If we click on this, we can get a whole different side of YouTube that we don't normally see. You get Japan YouTube, a whole bunch of videos and things that normally will never hit our recommended feeds. This stuff we will just not see. But I want you to look at something. Anybody see anything fascinating about the last month, 2 months, 3 months, 4 months of Kawano's videos? 1.1 million videos for like a stream VOD. From somebody like asking a question, dude. Holy mother of God. Street Fighter is on a different level in Japan right now. This thing is making careers the way that the last time we saw a big game do this, we saw this happen with Dragon Ball FighterZ made careers, right? People were getting this equivalent level of viewership when Dragon Ball FighterZ dropped. Let's go to like Tokido. And just as a reference, both of these guys, check this out. Both these guys have a similar subscriber amount, but dude, like they're popping off. Their viewership is good. Like all things considered, hundreds of thousands of views on some videos, high 80s. This is very good. So right now, what's happening in the content creation side of Japan, Street Fighter content creators, it is blowing up. And this not just between Tokido and Kawano. There's a huge myriad of people that are getting massive careers made where they're making legit money now actually being content creators. You know what I mean? Why is that important? Because to the majority of us, we're just completely unaware why this stuff is working the way it is. And it was pretty obvious that over the past, I think it's been 2 years, Capcom Cup has left the States. For it being the event that it is in a post Street Fighter 6 situation, it's been in Japan for a little while now. What this comes across as, to me, is almost a full commitment to the Japanese Street Fighter esports scene. And to me, it makes sense. It's kind of like, I'm curious what the heck's going on with the American version, the American side of the Capcom esports division. I wonder what they're going through right now. But it almost feels like a full commitment to not being this global brand anymore, and specifically being a thing that is for this audience, because the amount of viewership and the amount of people watching in Japan specifically is likely so big that they can't ignore that anymore. And we're just going to do it this way. And the Japanese audience is likely going to be completely happy with this because they have been doing that with like SFL. They've been doing that kind of stuff, you know? To me, this sounds like a literal business decision where the sponsorships that would come from other regions and all that kind of stuff. It's not really Capcom that's saying this. This is an esports division. It's all very weird. To understand why it's happening, you have to think about that. That does make sense, but it completely alienates like everybody else. It completely alienates everybody just sort of enjoying these things. Also, we're in a kind of unique situation right now. You have to start asking yourself, dude, is watching a Street Fighter event worth $30? Is watching the Street Fighter Super Bowl worth like $30 to $40? In other regions, people have said, yes, in Japan, yes, we'll actually pay for this kind of stuff. But for the rest of us, hell no, dude. For almost everybody else, like fighting game tournaments are pretty much run on the revenue stream of like entrants that pay to get in, and also sponsorships that pay to keep the entire event rolling and running for the years that come, right? They do that so they can run ads on the streams, like live baked in ads, and then obviously just have the event pay for itself, you know? But that means that we get free events, we get free streams, we could just watch all this stuff, you know, for the most part. Pretty much eliminates the entire aspect of like enjoying tournaments. Let's be real. One of the things that most of us get really excited about at a Capcom Cup, at an Evo, is the fact that we're not just looking at a tournament, we're looking at the future of this game, right? Looking at where this game could be going, what they want to show off, what they want to tell us, like all that kind of stuff. What do the devs have to say? So that's really exciting. It's exciting to be like, let's keep updated with what the competitive scene is doing and also learn from Capcom. Like nobody's going to watch that stuff now. They're going to have to like wait till after that we're going to hear about it or something like that. It might show up in like a tweet or something. To me, like, sure, that's fine. That's the way news is distributed. But at the same point, it's like, I personally love the communal aspect of being together in a moment, right? Of us all being here, because I've just grew up on this stuff, man. We're just used to it being this way. Being here in a communal moment to celebrate like the finality of this, these players, this game, also where the game could be going, and we watch the thing of the trailer or whatever. So that's pretty much gone. And that's what really bums me out about this situation, is that we don't get that communal sort of moment again. And it's also great for viewership. Like everybody else, like all the big Street Fighter streamers, like get to stream and restream and do all this kind of stuff that brings in audiences because people are curious and they want to hang out with you while you watch it. All I have to say is that I genuinely disagree with this decision. It feels like Street Fighter Esports just put itself in a bubble in one specific region because that region is cool with this. And now they're asking for everybody else to be cool with this. I really do not see like them selling a lot of pay-per-view tickets for this outside of Japan. It might be like less than 10% of their overall pay-per-view sales. Because to be real, and this is the thing that I have noticed just personally as a content creator, high-level gameplay isn't exactly as valuable as it used to be. In Japan, yes, I see that a lot of people in Japan are being introduced to Street Fighter, so they're gonna want other Street Fighter content creators close to them because it's booming so much. That's exactly why Tokido, Kawano, all these guys are getting such insane viewership because they're Street Fighter players. They're teaching new players how to play. New people that don't understand this thing want to jump in and watch the good players that, you know, speak a language that they freaking understand. And their viewership is blowing up, right? We watched this happen for Street Fighter around the early 2010s. We watched this happen around Ultimate Marvel 3 and Street Fighter 4 era, especially. Maybe not as much Street Fighter 5, where like content creators like Excellent Adventures and Spooky and shit myself literally blew up. Like what's happening right now in Japan is that these content creators are effectively like reaping the viewership rewards that the American FGC sort of went through back in like 10, 12, 13 years ago. It makes sense. Are we going through that right now? No, because like high level gameplay is everywhere. You can go and watch these people stream at any time. You can watch the best players in the world put up some of the most highest quality gameplay of whatever game you want anytime. So it's like the cost to value ratio of what is like valuable from a gameplay perspective, not nearly as high as it used to be. Like again, when we were starting to put up videos and be content creators, were we the best? Absolutely not. But people did not want to have to put in the time to being content creators as much, right? Because that was so much effing work to learn all this stuff. What's happening right now is that Japan is reaping the rewards of that. Everyone's a content creator. Everyone's doing best. Everybody's a content creator all over the place. So there's a oversaturation of gameplay. It's everywhere, man. All I'm saying is that I don't see the value outside of Japan in its current state of spending 30-ish to 40-ish bucks to watch a stream. To like literally watch a stream of gameplay. The importance of it is big, don't get me wrong, but at the same point, it's like we're not in a situation that was from like 10 years ago in America where, yeah, you could have maybe done that way back in the day when it was really valuable to see these players play at this level and to fight each other in this environment. We see it like multiple times a year, dude. All I gotta say is that it's a bummer, and I think there's better ways to do this. And we have seen this done time and time again. And I'll use a few examples. As we have seen the esports divisions of fighting game developers, big publishers, Tekken, NRS, WB Games, right? Capcom. We see them have different approaches to sort of pay for their esports division, and how do they like justify it, do a cost-effective ratio? How do they make money in some way so they can keep doing this and also putting in millions of dollars into a prize pool, right? So here's the thing. Other companies have already done this. People have done it well. The way you do it is that you get the esports side of it to really cooperate with the game itself. At the dawn of Mortal Kombat X, as well as Killer Instinct, these companies had an idea. Our esports divisions are like not big and they need money. What do? Killer Instinct and Mortal Kombat X made skins that did not cost a lot of money, but they said that this skin, if you buy it, goes directly into paying for our esports stuff. It's gonna give a prize pool to the players, and guess what? Prize pool was massive. It was freaking huge. It was crazy. On the Killer Instinct side, they turned a character that was a beloved fan character into something real, because he wasn't real yet, which was Shadow Jago. And they told us that all the money made from Shadow Jago is going to go directly into funding and operating an esports Killer Instinct World Tour. And it did. The bitch made the amount of money it was going to take to fund the character and way more in less than an hour on KI. It funded the entire budget of the character in almost minutes and paid for a large majority of the world tour in an hour. It was insane. Was that world tour massive? I was there. It wasn't necessarily massive, but it was there. They had a world tour for Killer Instinct. Prize pools were bigger than any other fighting game at the time, dude. It was crazy. What I'm trying to say is that I think there is a clear opportunity to fund this stuff. They're asking for like a $30-ish price tag. It's gonna, who knows what it's gonna end up being like abroad. What it's not, we know what it is in Japan, but the yen isn't exactly like super strong right now, so who knows what that's gonna cost like over here. My dude, what if they just put in a few colors? We just did this for like Street Fighter with Monster Hunter. There's like a Monster Hunter collab thing that adds like 5 characters with unique colors that match monsters from Monster Hunter. Cool. But if you let people know that, hey, this thing that you're doing is effectively helping us budget our esports efforts. Street Fighter 5 did it as well. You're right. Street Fighter 5 also did stuff like that too. It's bizarre to me that there's clearly answers here where people will spend like 20 to 30 bucks on this stuff, and you could easily get in-game rewards and know that you are contributing towards the esports efforts and the prize pools of the players that are working their ass off to be good at this shit. It feels like there's a very large disconnect from the actual development of the game to the esports division from the game itself. It stings, man. It's like, we don't get to enjoy this with everybody anymore. Even if I pay the 30 bucks or whatever, I don't get to have these moments with everybody. I'd pretty much be able to watch it by myself. And that is just super uninteresting.